would you like to be my community manager? I was like, what's that? And he was like,
Mm.
the same thing you're doing, engaging students, asking their questions, helping people along the way. I was like, great. It's not necessarily my job to be the most heard person or to be in the spotlight, right? And so for me, it's really finding ways to empower our students, our community, like the people in that community to share, right? And in order to do that, in order to encourage people to share, I like to say lead with questions, right? So asking people questions like, "Hey, where are you stuck? Let's help each other get unstuck." Susie may say, "I'm struggling to find a property manager," right? And then so many other students, they come in and be like, "Hey, I'm investing in this area. This property manager is great." And then they start working together, exchange contacts.
Welcome to the Lion's Den, the real estate podcast for perspicacious investors who know they have the strength to succeed in the lucrative commercial multifamily industry. Gain expert advice on your way to becoming a top performer. I'm your host, Adam Parrish. I have one of my co-hosts today, Lisa Parrish. The other two were not able to make it today.
Hi.
And the conundrum of today's episode: how do I build a strong investor community? Our guest today is the community manager of Master Passive Income and Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference, REWBCON, and is co-host on the Master Passive Income podcast and MPI YouTube channel. He is a real estate investor and coach who works with new investors to help them close that first cash flowing rental property on their path to financial freedom. Welcoming on Charles Rose Jr. How are you doing?
Awesome, man. It's so great to be on this podcast today. And Adam, it was so awesome when I met Adam at the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference in Phoenix, Arizona. And he was telling me about all of the things that he and his family do together. I was like, man, that is so cool. I wish I got started as early as you. And then his mom, talked to me more about how they started, with Adam and his brother, like from they were like 12.
Wait, you mean his sister, right?
His sister.
So,
Oh, look at that. Yeah,
just
see, I'm
kidding.
like messing up things already. His sister, like,
Just kidding.
his mom, they started their kids from 12 and 15 years old. And I'm like, this is like gold for me. I have a 5-month-old daughter. And so I'm so inspired by this family. And so Adam, thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm excited to share with you and your audience today.
Yeah, thank you. I
Thank
appreciate you
you.
coming on. That REWBCON event was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
That's awesome, man. I'm
I'm
glad you
sorry I
enjoyed
missed it.
it. You missed all the fun, Lisa.
Yeah, he had a great time with that one.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's
Charles,
awesome.
what's the word of the day?
So the word of the day is family. And for me, that word is so special because at the end of the day, that is my why. Every time I like reflect on everything that I'm doing in this business, it really traces back to my family. And so that's why I chose that word, and it's very special to me.
I agree.
That's,
Mine too. Love that word.
well, Lisa, you're definitely showing it. Like,
Yeah.
your kids are fruit of you and your husband's labor, and I'm seeing it right now. So I definitely believe you.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll start off with you telling us a little bit more about your story, your journey from the Bahamas to the USA with no money.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, I grew up in the Bahamas, young island boy, and didn't come from a wealthy family at all. And I just grew up with a pocket empty of money and a mind full of dreams. So always had big dreams when I was younger. And my mom was very instrumental in like really like pushing me like be outside of my limit. I used to be shy, believe it or not. I used to be very, very shy back then. And my mom like really like pushed me out of my limit and was like, you're gonna do big things, you're gonna do great things. Don't limit yourself to just the Bahamas. Go beyond. And so I always like had these big dreams from I was younger. Always wanted to invest in real estate and have my own business and be an entrepreneur at such a young age. And one big issue that I saw at the time was I didn't have any money to do it. I didn't have any money to own my own business or even go to college and all these different things. And I wanted to live in the US. I wanted to live abroad. I wanted to, go after the American dream, right? So, with having no money to do all of this, the only thing I had was leaning on my faith. And, I literally had to rely on my faith because many scholarships I applied to didn't get them. And so all I literally had was my family and prayer. And though to cut a long story short, I came over to the US on a one-way airplane ticket to go to college without even having all of the money for college. And my school fees was like over $30,000 a year. And in the Bahamas, my parents don't even make that much money. Even if they did make $30,000 a year, they would have to take care of themselves and, my brother and my sister, And so that was a big challenge for me. And so it ended up working out where I was able to finish my first semester. I ended up, at the last minute, so the Bahamas government is so last minute. Like I got a grant from the Bahamas government and to cover like most of my school fees. And then my mom's boss found out, what happened, and that I was, was going to get kicked out of school if I didn't come up with the rest of school fees. And so he helped out for that first semester, and all the semesters after that, my story was a little bit different. So I was actually aired on TV in the Bahamas. Of like they called me the crazy island boy for like going off at 17 years old without any money, and just having dreams and faith. And after being on TV, you had so many people calling the stations. You had like people from the community. You had like tourists and millionaires and different people just calling, asking, "How can I help this young man out? How can I help him fulfill his dreams?" And my dreams at that time was becoming a civil engineer and studying in the USA. And so my entire like school fees were completely paid off, like through like really like a grassroots type of efforts. And it was so crazy because I didn't want to go on TV because I was like, I don't want to be begging for money on TV. And so the news anchor, she was like, no, you're not going to beg for money on TV. We're just going to share your story, how you literally like took all of the, pennies you had saved up and purchased a one-way ticket to fulfill your dreams. And we're going to air this on TV. If somebody want to help, they can, but we're not going to have you begging for money on TV. I was like, okay, I'll do it. But as a result of that, so many opportunities aligned itself through people and the community and everything. And that's one of the big reasons why I'm so big on community. The saying is so true that it takes a village to raise a child, and I'm a product of that. And so I'm so big on building community because I had a community of people from all around the world, people of different countries, people of different colors, people of different national, all these different things pitched in to help me in one big community. And so for me, I'm so big on giving back in any way I can. And that's why I do a lot of things that I get to do with Dustin Heiner and Master Passive Income and the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference where we met Adam. And so that's kind of like, a brief version of my story without like getting into too many details. We'd be talking for a long time. I did write a book called Journey to Success, Defy the Odds and Realize Your Dreams, that kind of talked about that full journey coming from the Bahamas to the USA.
Oh,
Well,
very
we're
cool.
gonna have to get that book.
Yeah, definitely check it out. Let me know what you think when you read it.
Yeah. That's an awesome story. Guts and grit is what comes to mind for me. That
Oh,
takes a lot of guts, especially when you're so young to move by yourself and not have really a plan, not really know how you're going to figure it out, but just knowing and having the faith that you're going to figure it out. I think that's amazing having that at 17. So
yeah,
uh,
Lisa, and it was so scary too.
yeah,
So I think, sometimes like when we talk about these accomplishments and these big moves in life, we talk about it like so excitingly and freely just, when you've overcome it. But as I was going through that experience as a 17-year-old young boy from the island, didn't know a whole lot of people in the US, didn't even know where I was going, didn't even know where it would work, if it would work out or not. It was so terrifying. It was so scary. And but I had to increase my faith more than my fear, right? Because
yeah,
faith and fear can't operate at the same time. And so, so it was a challenge. It was scary, but I had to rise up in my faith to really like believe in this unknown, believe in the unknown, and
yeah,
believe in this thing that I'm trying to achieve. without knowing like what each step will be. And that can be the scary part for a lot of us, to
Yeah.
not know which steps. And sometimes we don't go after our dreams. Like some of the projects that y'all are doing, y'all are getting more and more properties, and y'all are probably will go bigger and bigger. Like, sometimes you just like if you're funding a huge deal, sometimes you may not know exactly where all that money is coming from. But you kind of go out in faith, like using the tools and skills and the people to kind of reach that goal.
Well, I mean, when you've gone through something like that or put yourself really through something like that at 17, doesn't it really make the rest of your decisions and the things that happen in your life less daunting? Some people are terrified over some things that, when you've gone through something like that. I have somewhat of a similar situation, not anything near like what you did, but we went through or we did some scary stuff. And when you go through that and you have the faith that you get yourself through it, then all of a sudden everything else seems pretty easy. And once you've done that, you become this new, like brave, person that can handle so much more than other people. That's what I think. So many people play it way too safe. It was very mature of you too at 17.
Yeah, and you're so right. Like, and doing that experience has helped me in so many areas. Like when I even getting started in real estate, and I hit a point where I felt stuck. I kind of reminded, or even like being afraid of the unknown, right? What would happen if I start investing? How am I going to raise money? How am I going to do this and that? Reminding myself of like, hey, dude, you literally like you came to the U.S. on a one-way airplane ticket, and your school fees all, combined, like if you look at everything, was over $120,000, that you were able to do this. And my first deal was a duplex that was $80,000. Like you can do this. Come on, like seriously. And so,
Yeah.
like just kind of like talking to yourself, like remembering sometimes you could use your past victories to help you win new victories, right? That,
Totally.
that, that gives you so much confidence.
Totally. Especially you go through failures and you become stronger every time as long as you're not quitting. Something doesn't work and you pivot and you do it, do something different. So many people are so worried about failing. But once you realize failing is not the end, it's just, you're going to learn from that and you're going to move on. You're going to become a much stronger person. I really think it makes life easier once you've gotten past that. So that's amazing. And I'd love to hear more about your real estate experience. Adam, I'm not sure what questions you're asking. So go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I'd love to talk a little bit more about your real estate experience. I know you focus on, I believe, single family.
Yeah, so I do so my I primarily focused on single family when I got started. And this year, my wife and I decided to take that next leap into multifamily. We
Great.
still love single family, and I do single family coaching, and we still buy single family deals. And so the deal is my wife will kind of focus more on the single family business, and I'll focus on growing the multifamily business. But we still, at the end of the day, we work together as a team, no matter what.
Great.
And so that's kind of where I'm at. So how I got started in just real estate in general. So going back to my story where I kind of achieved this dream of becoming a civil engineer in the US. So I was on top of the world at that moment, I'm this young island boy coming to the US, and I became a civil engineer. That was a big thing on the island, right? Because a lot of people
Wow.
don't even get a chance to leave the island and to go to an accredited institution in the US. That was a big deal. And so I was literally having, the time of my life, graduated, Mr. Civil Engineer, and working for this company that's like the number one company in the world for heavy civil construction. So I was working for one of the subsidiaries of this company. And so yeah, so it was great, at the beginning. And then I started moving up the career ladder and everything, and then I hit that point where things started to like plateau, right? And so I kind of felt like I hit a dead end, and I was still working hard, doing all these things to meet the goals and everything set upon me by my supervisor. And so I reached a point where I was struggling to get a promotion that was promised to me, right? So, when I look back at it, I think, for me, is like what I'm doing is so much bigger than just a promotion, but that struggle, that challenge helped me to open my eyes to some things, right? And helped me to mature as a person. And so I fought for like 2 years for this promotion and raise, and kept getting excuses here and there. And then finally, I got the promotion, and I got an annual raise of $1,000, like annual, not monthly. So if you take $1,000 divided by 12 minus taxes and everything else, you'll see what that is, right? For like working literally so many hours, working out of state, moving all. Anyway, it's a long story, right? And so I put my foot down, and I definitely addressed that concern. And they did give me a proper raise after that. So one of the top executives in the company finds out, gets completely angry, and come to my job site and scolded me for asking them for a raise. And so in that moment, that woke me up to realize that if I stay here, even if I go to someplace else, it'll probably be the exact same working for somebody else.
Mhm.
And I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always wanted to do these things, but I got comfortable, right? Comfort is the biggest enemy of progress. And I got so comfortable, being Mr. Engineer, graduating debt free and all these different things. I got too comfortable where I was at. And so I had to, in that moment, I'm very thankful as I look back at that moment, because it's caused me to mature and grow. And I vowed to myself in that moment two things. One, I would never ask for a raise or promotion again, working for somebody else. And number two, right? If I want a raise or promotion, I will go out there and make it happen. I will open up a business. I'm gonna, I could raise rents, I could do whatever. Like I decided that I was not gonna let anyone control my financial future again, and determine, my ability to take care of my family. And so I made that vow, and to this day I kept it. And I haven't asked of anything, thank God I've gotten, different, raises and stuff like that after that. But still, I told myself I'm not even going to depend on them for anything. And so that's how I got into real estate, because it's something that I always wanted to do. And then I ran into Dustin Heiner through Master Passive Income, because at first I was going to like do this all on my own. Then I realized, like, a lot of times when I try to do stuff on my own, it either took me really long to figure it out, like, something like this, like starting a new business, or I kind of got discouraged in between because I was stuck at it on my own. So I realized the importance of having a mentor or coach, and that mentor or coach could be anyone with experience in the area where you're going. So like your kids, I've been so blessed to have you and your husband, Lisa, because you all were in it, and they were in it from they were younger, learning. So having that coach, having that mentorship is so important. And so after I, went through the coaching with Dustin, I was like, I got to stay connected with this guy. So I renewed my coaching with him. And then after that, I ended up being on his team, just from like being so helpful in the community. I was like answering students' posts whilst I was a student. And if I didn't know the answer, I knew where to find the answer. And so Dustin was like, "Hey man, thank you, man. Would you like to be my community manager?" I was like, "What's that?" And he was like, "The same thing you're doing, engaging students, asking their questions, helping people along the way." I was like, "Great." And so, one thing led to the next, from being so his community manager, a real estate coach, a podcast co-host, and sales, and whatever he needs me to do, I do it. And I'm so blessed to have met Dustin. I don't think I would have met Adam if it wasn't for Dustin, right? Because Dustin is the founder of this real estate wealth builders conference where Adam and I met.
Very cool.
That's an amazing story. And really, I mean, that was a sign. That was a sign from God, or, whatever you believe, but that was definitely a sign that, and an eye-opening, realizing you are putting in all this time and effort for someone else's dream. And a lot of people get those signs and ignore them, or they just don't have the guts to do anything about it. I mean, how often do you talk to people who hate their job? They hate their job, but they just do it 40, 50, 60 hours a week. They're giving up all this time for someone else's dream. When, I mean, it is difficult to be an entrepreneur and to go out there, and it's scary. It's very scary, but I think it's worse like you were talking about comfort. I hate that. I hate it. Part of our story is I always say when we hit rock bottom, that sucked, but I look back and I thank God for hitting rock bottom, because if you're comfortable, you're not going to take that leap. I'm
Hmm.
really glad that we didn't have jobs. We didn't have money. We needed to do something. We weren't going to let our kids starve. So I think it's a sign, and you took this, you took it and you jumped in, and I'm sure there were plenty of challenges and scary times along the way, doing that, but, and it's still scary, but you knew at that moment that this is what's right for you. That's amazing.
Absolutely, yeah. It's so amazing, and it's amazing how you mentioned like hitting that rock bottom. Like, so I like to say, everybody has like sort of like a rock bottom experience, and that
Mhm.
experience may be different, whether it's like losing your job or like a major life situation that's uncomfortable. But I think it's like a situation that makes you like really wake up, right, and get
Mhm.
and realize the signs in the front of you. And so, for me, it was that situation. And, sometimes people feel like, man, I have to have like some major life situation, like losing my job, to share your story. But I think, a lot of the things that I went through, I think a lot of people are right there already.
Mhm.
So, as people are listening to this, whether their rock bottom situation is losing a job, or whether it's, being in a similar situation where I was like hitting that plateau or hitting that dead end, or, just fighting for something that you work so hard for, and having it, being taken away or controlled by, these people in power. I think, hearing like these stories, like, my goal is always like, every time I speak, not to just to sound good, but for people to take action, right? To look at Lisa's story and be like, hey, Lisa can do this, I can do this. To look at Adam and be like, hey, if Adam can do this at a young age, I can do this. What's stopping me? If Charles
Yep.
can do all of this coming from the Bahamas and going through all of that he went through in the job, I can do this too. So I love that, Lisa, how you mentioned that the rock bottom, because sometimes we have to hit that before we get where we're going, but not
Mhm.
all the time. Like sometimes people can learn from our stories and realize, well, I better start working on my dream right now. you know.
Oh, 100%. I think I've inspired a lot of moms. They seem to resonate with our story. Just, they forget that I have a husband that actually helped me through it all, and it would have been I can't imagine doing it without them, without him and, my family. But it's amazing, you know, everything that you've accomplished with coming from nothing. And if you look at and listen to any success story, any successful person when they tell their story, it's always similar, maybe not as much as yours because that's pretty amazing coming from Bahamas at 17, but everyone has that rock bottom moment, a health issue or something that they have to overcome, and you either overcome it or you quit
Hmm.
and you don't become successful. So the people who are successful, there's always some story about, this is what happened to me and this is how I overcame it. And that actually is growth. That's how you grow. It's how you become a stronger person. And I mean, I think that's amazing.
That is so true. And that's amazing how you gave credit to your husband as well too for growing up your kids and everything. I think y'all should like literally write a book on parenting. Seriously. A lot of people need that. Seriously.
Yeah.
You know?
I am writing a book. I'm working on taking a break at least from real estate. Adam and Eric, my sons I mean, they're just getting started, but we're going to take a break and I'm going to focus on writing a book
That is
and this podcast, of course, because I love the podcast.
well, when you write that book, Lisa, please like share it. I would love to read that book,
I
especially
will.
being a new parent myself. I
Yeah.
and just whatever you write in the book, I just think there's a lot of knowledge and a lot of experiences that you've gotten over the years. So I'm super excited about your book. Seriously, Lisa.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'll have you market it on your podcast.
Hey, just let me know. Let me know. It's right in line like what we're doing. So I'd love to share that for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. What are some tips to build a strong investor community?
Awesome, awesome. So, so for me, I'm very big on building an authentic community, right? And so what that looks like is, me being the community manager, it's not necessarily my job to be the most heard person or to be in the spotlight, right? And so for me, it's really finding ways to empower our students, our community, like the people in that community, to share, right? And in order to do that, in order to encourage people to share, you have to, I like to say, lead with questions, right? That's one of the biggest things we do. Lead with questions, right? So asking people questions like, "Hey, where are you stuck? Let's help each other get unstuck," right? So look at that, right? So when people share everything they're going through, Adam may say, I'm struggling for capital raising or whatever, whatever it is. Susie may say, I am struggling to find a property manager, right? And then so many other students, they come in and be like, "Hey, I'm investing in this area. This property manager is great." And then they start working together, exchange contacts. Or, "Oh, capital raising. I had some funds. I could, help you invest in this deal. Or I know this lender, right?" So, so questions like that brings people together, right? Other questions is, what are your wins, right? And asking people to share their wins. So for me, is like creating that authenticity and creating a floor for people to talk, for people to communicate. That's kind of like, my main focus is creating that safe environment for people to be able to share rather than just me being in the spotlight, me sharing everything. It's not about me, it's about them. So that's kind of the approach I like to take. Not about me, it's about them. And then another thing we do is we have a student success partner program at Master Passive Income where we get students together and form small groups. So it's like a mini mastermind. And so it's so helpful too when you have people like who are like interacting with each other, calling each other up, sharing their goals, holding each other accountable. All those things kind of help people get together in a community. And then another thing that I like to do, and it's more better for in person. I try to like spend quality time with so many people. So like Adam and I had some really good moments at the conference where we got to speak. I didn't get to speak to everyone, but I try to focus on quality over quantity. And when you impact different lives like that, so when I just stop and like, talk to Adam and not like, be looking to talk to everybody else at the same time. Well, I've impacted one person. Now Adam's being impacted by that quality time where he can be like, "Hey, Charles and Dustin, they took time to speak to me and here, but so they really like, talk to somebody else who I might not have spoken to." And so things like that kind of helps us to build that big authentic community, because at the end of the day, that's what we're truly doing, is to help people. We don't have to do, that, our money really comes in from building wealth through these properties. And so but Dustin has a huge heart to help. I have a huge heart to help too. And I think you all can relate to that, because you all are doing this podcast where y'all are helping so many other people and inspiring people on, yes, a lot of times, when you do all these things as a result of helping, your business and everything tends to grow. But, I think doing it for the right reason is what differentiates you. So for me, I'm to answer your question, that's kind of what creates a strong community. It's so many different tips and different exercises and team activities you can do, but creating that authenticity, creating a safe environment to share, and for everyone's voice to be heard is what creates a strong community.
I love that. I mean, I don't know if you've heard of multifamily mindset. That's Ryan and Tyler Devereaux and Ryan Woolley. They're partners of ours, and they have their own education company. And we'll go to, a big event. They have peak partnership every year, and I will spend an hour talking to one person. And my husband always gives me crap, like, "You're just spending so much time talking to this one person." And I do end up, if there's 1,200 people there, I do end up missing a lot of people. But I agree with you on quantity over quality. I don't want to just take
Quality
pictures.
over quantity.
Did
Just
I say
mixed
it
up
wrong?
words. Yeah.
Quality over quantity.
Quality over quantity. Yeah, I get
Quantity, okay. But whatever you just said, I agree. Quality. The quality is the most important thing, because I'm not in this to just say hi to a bunch of people. I'm in this to actually be able to impact people and to be able to help somebody and, make a lasting impression. And one thing, when you've got experience, I never even know some of the stuff that I might just rattle on whatever. Um, but because I have so much experience, you never know when I might say one thing that just changes their life. And I've had a lot of people tell me that, like, oh, that one thing that you said to me inspired me. I was getting ready to quit or whatever it is. And that's what we do this for. And yeah, the side effect is success. We do it for all of it. We do it for, but the goal is, or the motivation is to help other people, but it just happens to help you with everything that you do, with friendships, with partnerships, with everything, because helping other people is really how you can help yourself, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you never know, like, and what you all are doing with this podcast, like, you don't know, like literally, like you're doing all of this work and you don't know if someone's gonna, invest with you or not, right?
Right.
But whether they do or don't is great because knowing that you've helped someone, and I do believe that you're gonna get a lot of investors now and in the future from this. But so I just commend you all for doing this and just sharing so much. I get so
Thank you.
excited when I hear about people's stories, and so I just love to see you and your family working together. Like I know I mentioned that earlier, but
Thank you.
I want to see all of you. Like we got to do something where we all meet up in person. Maybe an event. That
Where do you
looks
live?
I live in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, okay. We have a
Yeah.
house. We have a house there. We have a house in Lake Norman.
What? Oh my
We
God.
actually were living there for what, 12, 13 years, something like that. And we just moved back to Arizona 'cause that's where we're from. But we moved to North Carolina, Charlotte
Yes.
area. We started in Monroe, North Carolina was our first property
Uh
in
huh.
2009.
Wow.
So
Small
yeah,
world.
it
That's
is.
so
So we
cool.
definitely could make that. Actually, Adam was just in Charlotte
No, Adam,
visiting. Yeah.
you didn't reach out.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
know. I
God.
forgot.
We
Oh my
forgot.
goodness.
I'll remember for next time, though.
Yes, okay, yeah, we gotta do something for sure, because I
Yeah.
think that's a big part of, like, building community is
Yeah.
having those authentic connections and interactions, and that's really how the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference started. So me and several other students on different occasions, had approached Dustin and was like, "Hey, like, let's get together, let's do something in person." So we were gonna do, like a master passive income meetup, and then, Dustin started to talk to his mastermind, and, out of that mastermind meeting, they created a conference. And so it was like
Great.
great because then, we get to bring so many communities together. And so that's at the very heart of why we build the Real Estate Builders Conference is centered around community and bringing people together. And that's why, like the conference, we don't pitch anything, and speakers aren't allowed to pitch anything. Sure, people are going to end up signing up for your programs and products as a result of it. But we decided that we're not going to be the conference that says, hey, our program is 35,000, and the first 20 of you who sign up will get it for 30,000 or whatever. We don't do any of that at our conference, and so the whole goal is bringing people together. So one thing I always tell people, and I mentioned it at the orientation at the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference, my mission is friendship first, business second. Friendship first, business second. So when you build that relationship, right? Real estate is built upon relationships, and you both know there's so much. And when you build that relationship, the transactions, the business, all that, it's gonna happen, right? It's gonna happen. But I say focus on friendship first. Focus on building that relationship first, and all of the other things will fall into place.
I 100% agree with that. I mean, you get like-minded people together and, I consider myself a mentor and a coach, but a lot of times I'm talking to students and I'm inspired. I learn from them. And, so it works both ways when you actually are there for the relationship and not for the money or whatever it is that's in it for you, but you're actually there to be able to help somebody or you're getting like those like-minded people together. I absolutely love that. That's amazing. We'd love to be a
Absolutely.
part of, something that you put together. I'm sure Adam and I would love to be a part of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, We do the real estate wealth builders conference. We're going to do it annually. So next year is going to be in St. Louis in March. So stay
Yeah.
tuned for that. So Adam will everyone who came to the conference this year, so you'll be on the mailing list. And so you'll find out more about how you can come to our event next year. And we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to focus on building community. That's I mean, that's what we're gonna do. As long as Dustin is heading up the real estate well builders conference, it's gonna be focused on people. And so, our theme this year was stronger together because we really are, right? We're stronger together. We don't have to go at this investing thing on our own. You guys are blessed to invest as a family unit, but I'm sure there's so many other people you are interacting with,
Mhm.
so many people you're working with, so many people you're helping. So we're just going to continue on with that mission. We don't need a different theme every year. It's all going to be about community and building people up, and that's kind of the heart of what we do at Master Passive Income and Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference.
I mean, that there's not you don't need to change because that's perfect. I
I
mean,
wish to
exactly what's
I wish Donato was on because he lives in St. Louis. He's one of the co-hosts
uh,
on here.
Oh wow, that would have been so
yeah.
great. Oh, we got to like plan
Well,
something.
he has which if you want to talk about that, Adam, but Bright Investor, if you see behind Adam, he's actually one of the founders of Bright Investor, and he was just a sponsor at Limitless with Robert Kiyosaki. It's market research made simple. Is basically what it is, and it's like an alternative to CoStar. And it's $100 or less a month,
Oh
which
wow.
we used to pay $1,500 a month for CoStar, and we were stuck in a contract for a year. So, and this is month to month. So it fits perfectly with any real estate, single family, multifamily, they even do commercial, Airbnb. So it's pretty
Mm.
amazing.
One of the purposes of this podcast is to build relationships with new guests. So we'll be in contact.
Yes.
Absolutely. I love it. Both of you are now friends in my community and everything. And so if there's anything we can do to help each other out and to continue helping other people, because the more you help me, the more I help other people. The more
Yeah.
I help you, the more you help other people too. So
Yes.
I like to say it's a win-win-win relationship,
Totally. Isn't it great when you're mentoring
right?
someone and then you see that them mentoring someone else? I
That's
absolutely
right.
love that. And then you just know that it's going to continue to trickle down. And that's the best feeling because you know that, you can help one person and it's actually helping many, many
So
people.
many other people. It's a triple win, right? Well, probably
Yep.
more than triple, right?
Yeah. It's
So
endless.
it's endless. Like it's a win times in infinity.
Yes.
It's an exponential win. How about that? Yeah,
Exponential win. Exactly.
yeah. I love that. That's a good name,
Yeah.
exponential win.
You can
Yeah,
have it.
got a whole brand for that.
Yes.
I love it.
Uh,
Exponential wins. That is so awesome.
that might be a chapter in my book, actually,
Exponential wins.
Be a good name for
That
it.
that.
or maybe a name for my book.
Oh yeah, that could be awesome. Make sure you mention me, right? And we
Yes.
met.
I definitely will because we just came up with that.
I
We
know.
can both use it.
Oh, no, oh, well, I love it for your book for sure. So definitely, you're gonna help so many people with it. So, you already have a plan for it. I don't.
Yeah.
Yep, this is awesome.
You want to talk a little bit about how your current experience with rental property investing sort of transitioning into getting into multifamily, what that sort of looks like?
Yeah. So for me, so once I fully decided that I wanted to take that next step in multifamily, and believe it or not, right? I'm talking about all these things, overcoming fear. For like the past 2 years, I was kind of like going to multifamily meetups, just kind of checking it out, building relationships and everything. And I hadn't, taken any action, other than, going to meetings and building relationship. And it's a form of action itself, but I hadn't really like taken like the active action to really like, start looking for deals, right? And I realized that fear was holding me back, right? And when I really had to like address that, I had to come like really like, yeah, just like Lisa mentioned, like thinking about, your past wins, how I came to the US and all these different things. How I got started in single family. I'm like, okay, I need to like overcome this fear and do something, because one thing I'm not going to do is that fear control my life. And so that's when I like, I got real serious, and then I signed up for some multifamily coaching to take it to the next level. And so from doing that, it's helped me to take so much action. So I just really like fully got started in this with multifamily in March of this year. And so I've been actively analyzing deals, putting offers, just building up my team. So I kind of took like a similar approach that I did from single family with Dustin, is building a strong team first. And so now that I have a team in place, that now I'm putting in offers. So it's just a matter of time before I get that first multifamily property. And so I'm focusing on anywhere from 20 to 100 units. And so that's kind of where I'm focusing to get started. And then, once I get, to a point where I get enough of those under my belt, or, I feel like moving on to the next level, then I'll keep on like, going up, maybe target 200 units or 400 units and so forth. So for me, it's just like really, crushing the fear, because sometimes fear comes up again, getting started, getting myself aligned with the right people, right? I like to tell people like just three things to be successful at whatever it is in life: get educated, get around the right people, and get a coach, right? And so I had to literally apply what I've been teaching to people in the area of multifamily, and doing that has helped me to get started. And so I've been going to a lot more multifamily events and meetups. I just got back from the Dealmaker Live in Texas early this month. I'm going to several other multifamily meetups and masterminds this summer. And then I'm going to go to Dave Lindel's RE Mentor Ultimate Partnering Conference in September in San Diego, and so forth. So just
Oh,
surrounding myself
we're
with the
gonna
right
be
people.
there.
No way. Oh,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
our whole
Okay.
family will be there, so we can definitely meet there.
Oh, okay. So we're
Right.
definitely okay. So we already have a place to connect. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Hmm.
I thought I might have to wait until REWBCON next year. So I'll get to see you and your family at the Ultimate Partnering
Yeah.
in San Diego, and then REWBCON in St. Louis.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
That is
Yeah.
awesome. Phenomenal.
Yeah, and that's about what Adam's looking for as well. So you guys probably could talk about that too. We've bought everything from a 12 unit to 419 unit. But I can
Wow.
tell you the bigger ones, unless it's turnkey and not a whole lot of work, it's a lot. I mean, unless it's, you don't have to come in and do a lot of rehab and stuff like that. It is a lot of work.
I can only imagine.
419 units, it's a monster.
Yeah.
I kind of like, having bought, and we also bought a 415, so we've had a couple of big stuff. Having gotten so big, we now are back to the around 100. Like our deal we're working on right now is 120 units in Arlington. I kind
Yeah.
of like that around the 100, 150. I mean, you've got the staff, you can have full-time staff on site. You have all the benefits of having the bigger property. But you don't have the monster of,
Mm.
so many units, but that's just my personal opinion.
That's like a sweet spot for you, the 100, 150.
Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to get to that spot here soon. But I realized too, I like to kind of some people, they go out and like go all the way for like a big, something like 100 units or 200 units, and that's fine. Like, go for it. But for me, I realized that, for me, it's good to do it in steps, right? So now, I've been doing single family and duplexes. So for me, that next step that stretches me and takes me out of my comfort zone
Yep.
is 20 to 100, right? And then once I get comfortable, then I'll probably be in the 100 to 150 unit range.
That's exactly what we did. We started with 23 units in Monroe, North Carolina, and then built our
Mhm.
way up, and we bought a lot of small stuff. But one mistake we made is we didn't listen to our coach with Dave Lindahl, and we actually started managing our properties ourselves. And what happened was that we kind of got stuck. And Adam's actually the one when he was a teenager. He's like, when we took him to a Dave Lindahl seminar, he's like, "What are you guys doing? Why are you managing your own properties? You have like a couple hundred units. You could have so much more." But we were doing it on our own, just my husband and I. We'd had a bad partnership experience and decided we're going to do this on our own. And I mean, I don't regret anything that we did. It got us to where we are. But when I tell, other people, I say the same thing that you say, that this is a team sport. everything, business, you need other people. And as soon as we started partnering, we partnered with Ryan and Tyler, and we went from a couple hundred to thousands. And it was so much easier too, so much less work, so much less stress. Things happen and you collaborate with your partners. If you've got good partners, that's extremely important, having the right partners.
Lisa, that something you said is so, I think, important for people to hear, and maybe you could do a whole episode on it or write a chapter or something. Is you had a bad experience with the partnership, and that kind of limited you, to you and your husband to do it all on your own. And so
Yeah.
I think it's so important for us to, rather than limit ourselves from our past experience, if anything, we take it and learn to grow with it, right? Like how you did now, right?
Yes.
Now you're over 1,000 units because, instead of letting that bad experience stop you from growing, now you've taken that bad experience, and I'm sure, you learn to, what to look out for in partnerships, right?
Yes. Yeah, now I'm actually glad about the bad partnerships because we learned so much from it, and I can help other people to avoid them. But yeah, that was a mistake that we made. And we were slow to learn it. And Adam, our teenager, is the one that kind of woke us up from it. We were focusing also on raising kids. And so sometimes when you're focusing on raising kids and going to soccer games and all that stuff that we were doing, I don't know if we really even cared that much about growing, but that much at that time. But as the kids were getting older, I mean, we were making okay money, but we were working our butts off. And the whole goal of, at least for us, is financial freedom, but freedom of time. And we were not doing that. And what we did was we took a bad experience and we went the opposite direction. And I think that's a mistake that a lot of people make is, no, I want to avoid that. So we did the opposite. That wasn't the right decision. Right decision is, okay, that partnership didn't work. What did we learn from that? How do we avoid that from happening? How we find the right partnership? And it took us several years to figure that out.
That's awesome, and that's amazing, and that kind of goes back to, I love how you start asking the right questions, right? I love to say lead with questions. Look at those questions that you asked yourselves that cause you to, make better decisions, right? And so as
Yeah.
people are listening to this episodes, I just want to encourage you all to, like, learn from Lisa, learn from so many people, learn by asking the right questions. What can I learn from this experience? What can I learn from this experience to help me make a better choice in the future? Not necessarily shut down. And as you mentioned, Lisa, do the opposite of what your goals in life is. So that is so awesome.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Do we want to go on to the trivia time?
What's the trivia time?
There's a trivia that we usually do at the end.
Yeah.
We can do a couple of the questions with that.
Okay.
Keep
Don't
it-
worry. I always get them wrong. Are you going to do multiple choice this time? Because
One of them is multiple choice. Yeah.
okay.
Oh gosh, I'm nervous.
I know, me too. I don't like trivia. But
Me
go for
either.
I'm trying to make them easier now because that was one of the complaints was they're way
Yes.
too hard.
He makes them so hard.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah, I always like stand on the side when people doing trivia. Like
Me too.
Okay. Y'all do
All
a
right.
couple questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you ready for the commercial multifamily Lion's Den trivia talk?
Sure. Why not?
With that voice, I'm ready.
Right?
you
Doesn't
go.
he have a great radio voice?
I love it. Yes, he does. When he started off with that voice, I was like, oh man, I feel like
Yes.
like I'm on TV.
Yeah. I know.
No, that's
It's amazing.
awesome. All right, here we go.
Question number 1. According to aspenfunds.us, for industrial space, both completions and net absorptions have been steadily rising since 2019, showing strong supply and demand concurrently. Industrial vacancy was 4.9% in 2021. What is the current vacancy rate?
Industrial. Yeah, I know. I'm confused
Industrial.
too. But
It's an industrial
that-
vacancy rate.
Something. Yeah, I don't know. I would be guessing. I started reading like CoStar reports actually, and with all
Yeah.
those absorption rates and everything. So I haven't absorbed all of that knowledge yet.
I'm gonna say 25%.
25% vacancy?
Yeah. Is that crazy?
Not office, it's industrial.
For industrial,
You just want to make me look stupid, don't you? All right,
Well,
10%.
industrial, I would say something lower because industrial. It seems like the industrial industries are still doing pretty okay versus the office. So what was it, 4.99% previously?
Yeah, in 2021. And the first part of the question, both completion, so they're building more,
Uh huh.
but net absorptions are also still going up as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. If I had to guess, 8%.
I'm saying 10%, but can you erase or cut out the first answer that I had? Or you just want me to look stupid?
I'm gonna leave it in.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
What's
The
the
ans
answer?
the answer is 2.9%.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow.
Very low.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Yep, I'm done. Okay. I'm actually avoiding the news these days because it's not usually good. So
Uh huh.
Well, industrial seems to be doing pretty well. So some
Yeah.
good news right
that's,
there.
that's good. Okay.
That's good. Yep. Yep. That's really good. I noticed that too. I heard something about that. In some, maybe it was a LinkedIn article or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Question number 2. According to a report by Marcus and Millichat, which retail category had the largest positive month-over-month sales change in May this year? This one's a multiple choice. Restaurants/bars, sporting goods, building and gardening materials, or furniture and electronics.
The biggest change.
Yeah, positive month-over-month sales change in May. So 1 month ago.
I'm gonna
Can you,
guess sports.
can you give the choices again?
Restaurants and bars, sporting goods, building and gardening materials, furniture and electronics.
Building and gardening materials.
Adam has that poker face, man. It's like it was like,
Come
you
on,
know,
drum roll. Give it to us.
yeah. He has the
The
poker face, like you
We're
don't
both
know.
wrong.
We're both wrong.
the answer is building and gardening materials.
Oh, you got it. Oh,
Got
good
it.
goodness. That's a good one. Okay.
Is the third one multiple choice?
I'm just gonna do 2 today.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say we could do a tiebreaker, but that's okay.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at a tie.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
When we
right.
have
We're
you,
both winners.
when we
Yay.
have you on
High
again,
five.
we'll break the tie.
There you go. Absolutely. Anything I can do to help, man. This has been fun. Seriously, I love what you all are doing. And I just love it, it seems so relaxed. It just seems like we're a bunch of friends talking. So
Yes, that's
I
what we
love it.
wanted. We just wanted it to be a casual conversation.
Yeah. That is
Great.
awesome.
Yeah, I
Thank
enjoyed
you.
that one.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Thank you for listening to the Commercial Multifamily Lion's Den podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, make sure to leave us a like, subscribe, and share with anyone you think can gain value from today's episode. What conundrums are you facing? Let us know in the comment section below, and we'll get to it in a future episode. If you're interested in passively investing with us, you can go to am-multifamily.com, or you can email Fia at am-multifamily.com. Those links will be in the show's description, along with the Lion's Den Facebook page and website. Thank you, and have a roaring day.